The silence of the plains is a lie. It is a canvas stretched tight over the sounds of starvation, the rasp of breath in a dry throat, the listless shuffle of feet on cracked earth, the thin, hungry cry of an infant. This season of prehistoric life is a cruel one. The great herds of AU ox, the walking mountains of meat and marrow that define their year, have not come. The clan's hunters, their bodies lean engines of pursuit, return each dusk with nothing but the scent of dust and failure clinging to their hides. Their instinct, the sacred, gut-deep knowledge passed down for 1,000 generations, is failing them. Lyra sits near the mouth of the rock shelter, her back to the fire's meager warmth. Her hands, gnarled as ancient roots, are too stiff for the fine work of scraping hides, her eyes too dim to find the tiny, life-giving grubs in the soil. In the brutal economy of the clan, she is a deficit, a mouth to feed with no hands to fill it. The younger ones move around her, a river of anxious life that parts for her still form. They see an elder waiting for the end. They are wrong. Lyra is not waiting. She is watching. While the hunters scan the empty horizon, Lyra watches the sky. While the gatherers search the barren ground, she watches the thin, silver river at the base of the bluff. For seasons, a thought has been gathering in her mind, a ghost of a connection that others, lost in the clamor of the present, cannot see. Her life, now long and slow, has given her the one resource the young and strong do not possess, a vast store of yesterdays. This is the dawn of a new kind of intelligence among these early humans, a quiet rebellion against the tyranny of the immediate. She watches the moon. She sees it swell from a sliver to a glowing gourd, then wither away to nothing, a cycle as reliable as her own breath. She feels the pull of that cycle in the bodies of the younger women, in the subtle, rhythmic shifts of their moods and energies. She sees the river swell and shrink, not in response to the rain she can see, but to a distant cause, a memory of water held in the far-off hills. This is a profound act of pattern recognition, connecting the cosmic to the terrestrial, the celestial to the biological. The world is not a series of random events. It is a story, and she is beginning to sense its grammar. Her long observation of the world is a form of primitive ethology, the study not just of one animal, but of the great, breathing animal that is life itself. One night, when the moon is a perfect, poised disk, she finds it the thigh bone of a leopard, long dead, bleached white by the sun. It is smooth and hard, a perfect surface. She takes a sharp flake of flint, the tool discarded by a hunter. In the shadows, shielded from the others, she performs a sacred, revolutionary act. She carves a single, straight line into the bone. The sound is a dry, scratching whisper. One moon, one night. The gesture is a thought made real, an idea given weight and form. It is a secret she holds close, a fragile hypothesis against the crushing certainty of her clan's despair. So, one of the last human ancestors to live purely by the gut, has decided to trust her mind. The bone becomes her shadow self, a second, more permanent memory. Each time the moon dies and is reborn, she adds another scratch. The marks are uneven, a testament to a hand that trembles. But they are a record. They are data. After the third moon, a familiar pattern returns. The river turns muddy and swells, and the small fish spawn near the banks, a minor bounty, but a predictable one. She scratches a different mark next to the third line, a wavy line for water, a dot for a fish. The bone is no longer just a count. It is becoming a language. This simple object represents a monumental leap in their material culture, an artifact not just of what they do, but of what they know. The clan's hunger deepens. The hunters grow desperate, ranging farther, taking greater risks for smaller rewards. Their leader, a powerful man named Kor, is a creature of instinct and tradition. His world is one of muscle, sport, and the scent of the wind. He trusts his senses, the tangible proofs of the present moment. He sees Lyra with her bone and dismisses her as a mad old woman, lost in the fogs of her final season, Her quiet scratching is an insult to the vibrant, violent reality of their struggle. On the night she carves the seventh mark, a memory sparks. It is a recollection from her youth, so distant it feels like a dreamy season of terrible hunger, just like this one, that was broken by the sudden, late arrival of the herds. She closes her eyes. And another memory surfaces, a story from her own grandmother about a time the Aur ox came, when the trees were already turning. The patterns converge in her mind. The Aur ox are not gone. They are late. Their own cycles, their own ancient rhythms, are responding to a logic her people have never perceived. She holds up the bone. Its surface now a small library of scratches. She counts the marks. 7 moons. In her memory, the late herds always came after the 10th moon. 3 more cycles. It is a prediction. A piece of abstract thought so alien to her people it might as well be a prophecy from a god. She knows she must speak. It is a hard choice, for to be wrong is to cement her uselessness. To invite ridicule and perhaps even exile. To be right, she cannot imagine what that would mean. She finds Core by the fire, mending a spear sharp. The other hunters are nearby. A small, grim audience. She presents the bone. She does not have the words to explain the complex web of cycles. The lunar pull, the river's memory. So she speaks in the only language Core understands, the language of the hunt. She points to the bone. 10 moons. Then she points to the empty plains. Aur ox. Core looks at the scratched bone. They are not her. He laughs. It is a harsh, bitter sound. He tells her the herds follow the new grass, not the ramblings of a crone. He holds up his spear. This is his calendar, a tool of blood and sinew. He tells her to stop her foolish games and prepare for the end. A heavy silence falls over the clan. They are caught between 2 worlds, the brutal, tangible present of the hunter, and the strange, unseeable future promised by the old woman's bone. For the first time, these ancient humans are being asked not to trust their eyes, but to trust an idea. The 8th and 9th moons pass in a haze of misery. The clan is reduced to chewing hides for sustenance, and 2 of the very old quietly stop breathing in the night. Their deaths are a grim punctuation mark in the long, slow sentence of their waiting. Core's hunting parties now return not just empty-handed, but empty-eyed, their hopes scoured away by the relentless plains. Lyra continues her vigil, her belief the only thing she has left to eat. Each night she adds her mark, the small, scratching sound, an act of defiance against the crushing silence. The bone is now heavy with marks, a physical record of their suffering, but to her, it is a map pointing towards salvation. On the day she is to carve the 10th mark, a clear wind blows from the north. The air feels different, charged with a new energy. Core and his hunters prepare for one last, desperate for a final cast of the spear into the sea of their misfortune before they can leave. Lyra stands, her frail body silhouetted against the morning sun. She holds up the bone, its 10 marks visible to all. She points to the bone, then to the horizon, and speaks a single word today. Core stares at her, his face a mask of pity and contempt. He raises his spear to signal the departure, to finally and irrevocably choose the world of action over her world of signs. But he hesitates. The rest of the clan is watching, their faces gaunt, their eyes hollow. They are not looking at him, the embodiment of their strength and tradition. They are looking at the old woman and her bone. In their desperation, they are willing to grasp at this last, thinnest thread of hope. To Kurl, this is the ultimate challenge. To ignore her is to maintain his authority. But to heed her is an act of communal altruism, a deference to a new kind of wisdom that could save them all. He lowers his spear. He does not nod. He does not speak. He simply sits. The entire clan waits. A congregation holding its breath in a temple of rock and sky. The sun climbs, beats down, and begins its descent. The silence is absolute. Doubt begins to creep back in, a cold shadow, and then A tremor, it is felt first in the soles of the feet. The low, distant vibration that is not a sound but the promise of one. Heads turn, all eyes fix on the northern horizon. A dark line appears, a smudge of dust against the blue. The line grows, thickens, resolves itself into shapes. The AUR rocks, not a few, but a tide of them, a moving forest of horns and hide, their hoofs creating the thunder that now rolls across the plains. They have come, just as the bones said they would. The sight triggers a cognitive revolution in the mind of every clan member. Tell why his bone is not madness.
At last,
it is a new kind of eye, one that can see through time. Her act of foresight has given them the one thing more valuable than meet a future that can be known. They do not cheer. The moment is too profound, too sacred. Cole rises and walks to Lyra. He looks at the bone in her hands, this piece of ancient history, and for the first time, he sees it not as a collection of scratches, but as a repository of power. He reaches out and touches it, a gesture of reverence. The hunt that follows is not a desperate scramble, but a calculated, confident harvest, their movements guided by a new and powerful certainty. Their temporal awareness has been fundamentally, irrevocably altered. They are no longer just living in time. They are beginning to read it. Tell why or his bone, or one very much like it, would one day be unearthed by the spades of archaeology, a silent artifact labeled as an object of unknown ritual significance. But it was far more than that. It was the first page of the first book. It was the birth of science. The moment our ancestors stopped simply reacting to the world and began to predict it. This was the true dawn of human evolution. Not a change in the bone of the jaw or the length of the leg, but a restructuring of the mind itself. Her discovery that time has a grammar and the universe has a rhythm was an inheritance more valuable than any hunting ground. It allowed us to plant seeds with the certainty of a harvest, to navigate by stealth, and to build civilizations on the bedrock of predictable patterns. We, her descendants, still live by the logic of that bone. Every calendar on our walls, every clock on our wrists, every prediction of the future we dare to make, is an echo of that first, defiant scratch made by an old woman who learned it to read the moon. This has been the chronicler. Our greatest tools were never made of stone, but of thought. But what happens when the calendar predicts a darkness that cannot be hunted?